Everybody, welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm Tamia Harper, and I'm joined by my SyFy sisters, Sabrina Wood.
Hey, hey.
And J.D.
Bonjour.
Today, we're going to be talking some Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, and some Doctor Who, some Midnight Doctor Who. Maybe I should play some... around midnight, get some Dexter Gordon going. Yeah, wouldn't that be good?
I'd be all right with that. Yeah,
I know, right? So we're going to mix it up a little bit today, and JD is going to be our lovely guide through this awesome journey of these two fantastic, amazing episodes. We're so glad you all could join us, and we're also so glad that we are now officially part of the Trek Geeks Network, and we love you guys, Trek Geeks.
Yay, Trek Geeks.
Molto bene.
Molto bene.
She's going all EU on us today.
So I hope you guys have seen these episodes. The first one is Darmok from Star Trek Next Generation. And then, like I said, we're going to delve into Midnight from Doctor Who Season 4. I'm going to turn this bad boy over to JD and let her be our tour guide.
Allons-y. All right. So today we are going to talk about two episodes, like Tamia said. And for those of you who haven't seen the episode Darmok, the synopsis runs like this. Picard is captured, then trapped on a planet with an alien captain who speaks a metaphorical language incompatible with the Universal Translator. They must learn to communicate with each other before a deadly planetary beast overwhelms them. So, with that, given that we three have seen Darmok, it was my first viewing, but first I want to know, what did you guys think of the episode? I mean, you've seen it, but like I still want, to see, like, how does it strike you? Let's start with Tamia.
Okay, well, this is hands down one of my favorite Star Trek episodes of all time. I love this episode. It's a very Star Trek episode. It at its heart, how do we relate to others that are different from us if we take away our common forms of communication? And that cuts across so many cultural lines and norms. So just on a superficial level, surface level, I can say that I love this episode, and I watch it anytime it comes on TV. Sometimes I choose to find it on whatever service I'm looking for just to watch this episode.
All right. Sabrina?
I am totally there with Tamia. Darmok is one of my favorites. I remember the first time I saw it, and I was blown away because it just made me so in awe of this writing, because Joe Menosky is the writer of this one, and he's written a lot of different Star Trek episodes. First Contact, and he's Time's Arrow, that's him. And he has a lot of episodes that have to do with, like Tamia said, when you take something away, either people's memories or, language or something. So it's really very interesting. But what I really love about this is that Paul Winfield is the star, and I love Paul Winfield. Yes. So when I heard he was the guest star, even though he's got complete 100% prosthesis on, I still know that's Paul.
Well, you do. You could tell that it's him. And then the amazing job, like he really should have gotten an Emmy for this one, because the amazing job that he did of emoting throughout all of that prosthetic makeup. Everything is amazing.
I think it should be a new category. I really do, because it's something to act through all of that. And this is such an emotional episode where, you have a man that is trying to do something for his planet, for his race, to get them into the rest of the universe, that this has got to work. It's been 100 years that he's been trying to communicate, and they have not been able to. So, this man is like going to get this done today. It's going to happen today. Yeah. So I love this one.
All right. And I know for me, I had never seen the episode, but I'd seen something tangentially related to it. So I kind of got a good feel of what may happen, but even still watching it, it was very frustrating. It was a frustrating episode. Like, everyone was doing everything wrong all the time. I didn't know that was possible, but they were. Like, I was like on Twitter complaining, like, I would hate to have Picard as a charades partner. This man is terrible. Like, could not deduce anything. So yeah, but at the end I was all like, you know what? It's a sweet episode, and as someone mentioned to me, it very much embodies the Star Trek ethos of I may not be able to communicate with you, but we're gonna find a way. We're gonna work together for this cause, regardless of differences, because it's the right thing to do. So, I mean, all in all, it's a cute episode. I wouldn't use the word. It's a cute episode.
I wouldn't use the word cute either. But I mean, I think that makes it seem so trite, because like what it is a really important statement about an examination of the nature of fear of the other. I mean, that's what it's talking about. And how we as human beings react when we're confronted with new and different. And it's not, easy to communicate with. Like, for instance, I work with a lot of deaf folks at my job, and I don't sign. I know very little sign language, American Sign Language, and communicating sometimes can be really difficult. But we sit there, we make a way to do it. But, originally, when you're originally confronted with trying to communicate with somebody and you don't know their language, it can be so frustrating at first. You just want to give up, which is what was happening on the ship, on both ships in Darmok. You had Riker and the first mate on the other ship.
The two first were like, no, we're done.
Right. Like, we didn't understand you the first or second time. Okay, clearly you're hostile. And no, exactly. That's not it. So it's a really, it's a poignant episode, and then I think it also speaks to sort of the one-on-one nature of change, right? Like it becomes an individual pursuit to reach out to another human being or another being, period.
I think that is very important in this. And I think Picard brings it out in the end of the episode where, we realize that this cat, if you have not seen Darmok by now, spoiler alert, and, I don't understand why you haven't seen it, but okay, I'm going to just spoil it for you. But, when we come to the end of the movie, Picard says that this one man, he was willing to give up everything so that his people would be able to communicate. He was willing to die for it. So I think that shows you how important it was for this captain to make this happen that day. He, 100 years, they could not speak to anyone else in the universe because no one could understand them. And this was the mission. This wasn't like, we're just going along doing some interstellar star chart and, we just see this planet. Let's go see who's here. No, they went on a specific mission to make contact with these people. This was
Starfleet did.
Starfleet did. They told them to go there and try to find out what these people are. And this guy was sending a signal for 3 weeks to these guys. He was sending a signal for 3 weeks. So, this was really important. It was deep. He was like, we've got to do this or all is lost. We're going to be isolated for the rest of our existence.
Right. Because what does it mean for a culture to stay isolated? I'm sorry, JD, go ahead.
See, I read things a little different. Like you mentioned how it struck you like both first officers are like very combative and ready to attack each other. But that was just Riker. Like, this was my first time watching it, and it was very clear. Like, even when, like, the only thing
That's true. I take it back. That's true.
The other first officer was ready and combative in the beginning.
Yeah, he didn't want his captain to do this. But he didn't do anything about the Enterprise. He just didn't want his captain to go down on the planet.
Yeah, because once they actually once they're down there, he's all like, you know what? This is important to my captain. I'm not going to let you guys interfere with this.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I don't know. I still say cute because I am someone who has studied upwards of 4 different languages that I can't speak. So
okay.
So, like, to me, like, watching this, the frustrating part was Picard. Like, his anger and not even, like, trying to deduce things. And it's all like, come on, it's very easy what he's saying when he says things like,
here's some fire.
Right.
Yeah, like that was
what
very
is so tough
clear
to understand about that?
Here's some food and some fire. Eat it.
Yes.
All right, let me tell you, I'm gonna go right to the head scratcher on this one. I don't know how you could be the captain of a starship and you don't know how to start a fire.
Yeah, that was me. And it was so weird because, like, even when Dathon is telling him, Temba, his arms wide, it's all like, he gave you the fire.
He gave you the fire.
His arms wide. Like, just make the gesture, Picard. He's all like, point to fire, arms wide. Like, take the fire. I cannot make this easier.
And I'm sitting there like, I could have started a fire. There was brush all over the place. It's like, come on, you get the twig, you put the hole, you put it in there, you start twisting and turning, the fire starts.
Yeah, and like, even Picard, I guess he cannot read body language, because even when Dathon first comes at him with the 2 knives, Picard's all like, nope, I'm not gonna fight you. We're not having battle. But it's all like, clearly he doesn't want to fight you. He is offering you something. You're just like, nope, not gonna battle. This isn't my life. Like,
but is that another case of coming in with the wrong impression, and so then not understanding anything that comes after, because you too are already seeing this man as a threat and hostile. And, he can't be getting ready to tell you anything good. I don't know, because it was like Picard was being really thick in this one.
It was like a problem, an issue with trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it might have been a little heavy-handed because we just can't believe that Picard would not pick up on the cues. But
all that was standing, though.
Yeah.
I still love this episode. I mean, it can be a little dense and a little obtuse, but that's okay. The message of the episode is still very clear and wonderfully drawn out. We come from different eras of storytelling, right? Sabrina, myself, and you, JD, we're all from different. So that level of storytelling, the way that they did it was pretty acceptable. Like they told stories and characters in broad strokes a lot of times. Like today's level of storytelling and character development is way more finessed.
But even back when they telecast this one, I was wondering why Picard couldn't get that fire started. But
yeah, I mean, that was stupid, though. I mean, straight up. I still love the episode, though.
I do too. I love it too.
All right. Here's a question, because I know it did make me think of things. Did you relate the episode Darmok to anything? Like, did it click in other ways to other things? Because I know when I was watching, by the end, I was all like, oh, I get it. It's a Snowden situation. And for anyone who doesn't understand what that means, basically,
two of us are sitting here looking at each other like, what are you talking about, JD?
In Catch 22, you have the main character, John Yossarian, at the beginning of the book.
Okay.
At some military meeting, he asks his commanding officers, what happened to the Snowdens of yesteryear? And it's not until you get to the penultimate chapter of the book where you get this chapter about how his plane took fire during World War II. you have this new guy, Snowden, and he gets hit. And there's a cut on his leg, and he keeps telling Yossarian, I feel cold, which, you know, if you know anything about wounds, that's a clear sign you're dying quickly. So Yossarian, he bandages up the leg, but Snowden is still telling him, I feel cold. And it's not until it's far too late. Yossarian opens up his flak suit, and everything inside Snowden comes pouring out. But then to look back at the beginning of the book, when he's asking what happened to the Snowdens of yesteryear, he's asking what happened to all these other guys in years before? What happened to everyone else who died? Why are we doing this?
Okay. Yeah, I thought you meant like Snowden, like the guy that took all the information and went to Russia.
No, apparently it's just a very common name.
We're talking about databases now?
Yeah, but it also goes back to, you know, understanding
the
language.
Right. I get that. Yeah, well, the thing that got me, and this is like, I'm going way out, but then again, I'm a sci-fi sister, so I'm telling you from a sister's point of view. From a sister's point of view, when I first saw this episode, I thought, oh my God, we're going to another black planet, like Code of Honor time. I'm going, yeah, we're going to a black planet. But it didn't turn out to be that way. I was like, oh, the children of Tamarians, the children of Tama, whatever they were, and they're isolated and no one can speak their language. I'm like, oh man. I said, are they trying to go back and kind of give me when colonization was coming to the continent of Africa and they first got there and they couldn't speak to the Africans or whatever. I said, are we trying to recreate this now in Starfleet? And that's what first struck me when I saw the very beginnings of this, and the frustration of the white crew, except for Geordi, of the Enterprise and their frustration with these guys on this other ship, and just gonna write them off, that's it, I'm not talking to them anymore. We came all this way, we're gonna try 2 times to talk to them, and we're just done. But Picard hung in there for a little longer. But so that kind of got me. I was sort of thinking that this might have been a black planet, and the idea that if you go back into African history and the history of storytelling, that it would have made sense to me that they would have had some sort of a language that was based on story and myth and storytelling and metaphor. So that's what struck me when I first saw this. I said, oh, they're going to give me what would have happened if, this was another way of developing language based on African storytelling oral tradition. Okay, it's way
I love that. I love that.
No, because when you were talking, I kept thinking in a sense, this is it's an immigrant story where you are in this new place. You are trying to communicate with this person to, just get by. And it really does come down to are they going to meet you halfway? Are they going to try? Or are they just going to be like, no, this person's terrible, I don't get them. They don't speak English.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, but the effort came from the captain, the other captain, Captain Darthon. Yeah. He was the one that said, okay, we're going to have to go to Jalad, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Right. And that was it. Oh, the first officer's like, oh, no, don't go there. He's like, nope, we're going to have to do it. This guy does not understand. So, they were going to have to recreate the story for him. So I thought that was just great. But I got, if you listen to some of the language that they were using, timber at rest, meaning the gift is rebuffed, and, the river Tarmac in winter, meaning stop. Right. I just loved it.
It's beautiful language, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I wanted to hear the story. Anybody out there, if you're listening, if you want to write the backstory to the children of the Tamarians, please, and give me all of these mythological stories, I would so love you. I know you're listening, but come on, these book writers, fan favorites. If it's already out there, please put it in the comments. Tell Sabrina where she could get the book that tells the story of where these stories came from. I would love that.
I mean, what I was thinking about the whole time while I was watching this episode, and I have since the first time I saw this episode, was the beauty of this language, right? The poetry of it, that it's an entire language of poetry and metaphor. And I thought, how appropriate for especially having taken a poetry class, writing poetry, to watch an episode in which, because that's what you're searching to do, right? Often. I don't know, it very much touched me because we have names for things, but names are just capsules of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A name for a thing is actually a whole conglomeration of ideas put together. A name is just a symbol. Words are so often symbols. So I really appreciated a language that spoke of the essence of a situation.
Yeah. And the writer, Joe Minosky, he said that he was inspired by the poet John Ciardi, who said every word is a poem. So he had a lot of poetic inspiration when he wrote this episode, and you can see it in the writing. I think my favorite phrase was Marib with sails unfurled. I just love that, with sails unfurled. And the thing that gets me is that the universal translator is translating what he is saying literally, and picking up the word unfurl, not open. The translator is giving us unfurled. So it just really got me, this whole thing. I was just sort of like thinking the thing like, okay, so what would be in his mind that the universal translator is going to say unfurled as opposed to his sail is open? So it was just really, okay, I know I'm going way too deep into it, but
no,
I just
it's
love
beautiful.
this episode.
Actually, you and I can sit here at another time and go deep into that, because whenever we talk about language, I'm there, but I know that that's a different podcast.
Yes, it is. Like, I love language too, but on that note about a different podcast, let's go on to a different show. So the other episode we watched was Doctor Who Series 4, Episode 10, Midnight. Yeah, for those of you who don't know the episode, the synopsis reads as such. The 10th Doctor and Donna Noble go to the leisure planet of Midnight for a simple, relaxing holiday. However, life with the Doctor can never be that simple, and things go horribly wrong for the Doctor when he decides to go off on a bus trip to see the Sapphire Waterfalls, starting with the bus shutting down. When a mysterious entity infiltrates the shuttle bus, no one is to be trusted, not even the Doctor himself. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so so on that note, because I know you guys are not Whovians, what did you think of the episode?
The non-Whovians.
Wow.
I might be persuaded to become a Whovian after watching this episode.
Oh, you should. It wasn't even the episode people suggest as the episode you should watch to get into Doctor Who. So anyway,
it's a really stellar episode. It's an amazing piece of drama. I love it.
I was absolutely knocked off my feet with it too, because I really going back. I mean, I remember the first Doctor Who, like the Doctor Who number 10. I was like, oh Lord Jesus! But yes, Doctor Who number 1 is what I remember, and so I was really excited that you came up with this comparison, because I said, all right, let me delve into this and see what's going on. And I think this is one of the best episodes of sci-fi I've seen in a long time. It was very Twilight Zone-ish. It was terrifying. I mean, I jumped a couple of times.
It was. I mean, it was full of suspense. It was a locked room drama, right? Like a locked room sort of mystery, but not, I mean, it was amazing. The intensity of it, the psychological drama of it, the acting was superb. Mm-hmm. The writing was superb. Just really wonderful.
You're welcome. But I will note that the writer was also the creator of the, I don't want to say reboot, but the continuation of the Doctor Who, Russell T Davies. So this was his brainchild. But on that note, what about the episode just stood out to you? Gonna start with you, Sabrina?
Well, I went in, I think I did a little research before I saw the episode. So I read that the writer, Davies, said that he had never seen Darmok, but that this episode was inspired by the synopsis of Darmok, where, people aren't able to understand each other and they only speak in metaphor or something like that. And so I think he said he never saw it. Although Sky Celestri, the woman who gets possessed first, the name of the captain in Darmok was Captain Celestri. So I don't know whether he must have seen something. So, I have to go back. But when in the beginning of the Enterprise, the Star Trek episode, when Picard is naming the first captain who made contact with the children of Tama, the captain's name was Captain Celestri, and it is the same name as the woman on this bus going to see Sapphire Falls. So I just thought that was kind of funny, but it was terrific. I love the fact that I felt like Captain Picard at this moment, because I didn't have the Whovian context and metaphor to understand some of the scenes that were going on in this, but I did my best to understand what was happening. But as an aficionado of sci-fi, I knew this wasn't going to be good. As soon as he said, I'm going on a trip on a planet that has no oxygen, what could go wrong? I was like, oh, we are in for it.
Exactly.
All right. And Tamia, what stood out to you from this episode? Like, what just stuck with you?
Boy, so much. The intensity of the level of hate that was exhibited by the passengers, their fear was so intense. It made me feel like I was in a life or death situation, but how that fear twisted and turned to hatred, and that mob sort of mentality, I thought was what really stuck with me. When I finished watching it, I watched it at night and then went to bed, and it was floating around in my head, in bed.
Absolutely. This one stayed with you for a little bit.
And it's still with me, I'm still mulling over different aspects. But the other thing that really stood out to me on this episode was that, just like in real life, who was hip to the fact that the alien being or whatever being was not in the Doctor? It was two sisters.
Let me tell you.
Hello.
Okay, SyFy
Two
sisters.
Two sisters got it. I'm trying to tell you. That's not reality over there. That's wrong. Nope. What do you know? And then the professor going so far as to call the woman stupid.
The doctor,
and you're just
average.
What do you say? You're just average.
Oh no, that was the professor.
The professor. You're just average.
J.D.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wow, that struck me really hard, because that is the type of treatment I'm used to getting from the world. I've had that type of treatment in professional situations or in personal situations too, where either I'm written off because I'm a woman, or written off because I'm a woman and I'm a Black woman, and I'm sitting there like, you feel like what was her name from the Greek myth?
Which myth?
Was always Cassandra. You feel like Cassandra because she was always telling the truth and nobody wanted to believe her, right?
Right.
So so much of my life has been like that. You're like pointing it out to people. Hey, look at the snake right there. You probably don't want to step right there, and they go, do, and they go, wow, why didn't you tell me? Or you're stupid. There's no snake. You're making stuff up. So it was pretty visceral. As you could tell, like that really struck a chord with me.
I think the other part about that, because that scene really stuck out to me too. And I think what really got me about it was that it came from the Professor Hobbs, who had brought her on the trip with him. She was his research assistant, and she's like, they came on together. They were sitting next to each other. This came from a source that she would think is benign, that would be on her side. And all of a sudden, he turned and he was every angry white man. I said, oh, no. So it came from, why is this man that I am known to? You know my genius, and you're gonna say this mess to me,
right?
And Doctor Who just met her, he was so clear that she was the brains,
right?
He was just like, Dee Dee explained to them that we're not gonna run out of oxygen. She just ran it down,
And the last thing that really stood out to me was the guy who played the young kid.
Yeah, Jethro.
Jethro, thank you. I kept thinking of NCIS. I'm like, no, like, how do they have a Jethro in England? Like, isn't that okay? Anyway, because they do. It just seems like such an American name to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, he played Merlin. He played young Merlin.
Did.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
was like, it's Merlin. Oh my gosh, how fantastic.
Oh, yeah, you guys should watch Doctor Who. Any British actor has basically been on there at some point. So, but
what about for you, JD? What stood out for you?
Yeah, it's one, because I've watched this so many times. It's one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes. But the one thing that always sticks with me is when the Doctor asks the hostess, what was her name?
Yes.
Because it's that one thing where it's not until he asks that at the end where you're all like, wait, did we not get her name? I know everyone's name on this vessel except her.
Mm-hmm.
Which you knew Claude, again, you knew the two pilots, you knew everybody.
Which again speaks to the invisibility of Black women, right? Like we support. People don't even know our names. And that's a real experience.
Yeah.
It's hard to even talk about it because it's so frustrating. The number of Black women who raised people's babies and did all sorts of, and are lost to history, and we're involved now in a culture of saying their names.
Say my name.
We recognize the importance of keeping these people's legacies alive and giving them their due, at least at some point.
That really got me when he said that, because that was the first thing I thought of, say her name. And even through the whole episode, they were so evil to her. She was the hostess on this bus, this futuristic bus, and she was just getting flack from everybody, every single thing. And
she was a servant. She was in a service position. Yeah. She's a servant. So why would we pay attention to this Black lady? Why would we treat her nicely?
And then,
she's throwaway.
Yes, and when stuff was going down, well, you need to do something. Why aren't you
it's your fault.
And it's your fault. It's your fault.
That's not even like, at this point, it's not even just like a Black woman thing. Like at that point, anyone who has worked any sort of service or retail knows that you are the most in-demand person who should have all the answers until you tell them they're wrong.
Right.
Then it's all your fault.
Exactly.
Right.
Or until you can't fix the situation.
Right.
It's your fault.
And in the end, she saves them all.
And I do work in service and have worked in retail for 20 plus years.
So have we all done retail? I have to.
I think that people, everybody, unless they're doing national service on some other level, everybody should be required to work retail or a service position or like hotel industry, or every human being should be required to do that because it changes the way you treat other human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell you. Anyhow, before we go down into the well of these service
on
workers.
that happy note, while Sabrina mentioned it, I don't think Tamia caught it. So, yeah, Russell T Davies, the head writer for Doctor Who Revival, he went on note in SFX issue 200 as saying, "I've seen a lot of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think it's a lovely show, but there's one episode, the billing for which is so fascinating, I'd rather think about it forever. The episode is called Darmok, and the synopsis simply says that Captain Picard is trapped on a planet with an alien who can only talk in metaphor. Wow, that sounds brilliant. How does that work? What happens? How does it end? I've got no idea, not seen it, but it keeps resonating with me." And that is what inspired him to write Midnight, just this idea of being trapped with an alien who can only speak in metaphors. As we know from watching it, Davies took that to a really dark level.
I love it. I mean, I love the level that he took it to. First of all, I love writers being inspired by another person's work. I mean, that's happened to me a lot, and it's spun off some fantastic stories for me, like that I've had a lot of fun writing. But the fact that like he took it to the level of the mimicking to learn. I love that aspect in this story. Like, how do we learn? We mimic. You know, the knowledge of the meaning comes later, but as babies, we try to do what the adults around us are doing, and then we learn what things mean. But then even the mimicry becoming like taking the essence of somebody, taking their words, that was brilliant.
And I love the way first the alien was mimicking, and then the alien caught up, and then the alien was speaking ahead of them. So I said, yeah, it learned hatred. It learned kill it. It learned, you've got to stop it. And, this alien might have come on board just trying to find out what was going on, because nobody ever come to this planet. Nobody ever took that road before, this was all new. And so like the poor guy in the cockpit there, Claude, I guess, or whatever his name was, he said, "I thought I saw something." I was like, oh, here we go. So maybe it was just coming to see what was going on. And do you get the feeling that the one of the things that really got me about this was the sound of the alien trying to come into the cabin, because it was so metallic and harsh and scary. I mean, there's no way you can lightly tap on the door of a thing like that, right? So of course it was banging, but that ratcheted them up immediately to the point that they were like, oh, this can't be good. It's not. And this thing was sort of like, well, how do I get in here? I just want to come and say hi. They were just out of their minds.
I feel like you're giving way too much. I feel like you're giving too much.
I'm going too deep again. I'm going too deep again.
No. It's just like when I watch Midnight and I see the Midnight entity, there is nothing kind about that creature. Like nothing. It comes in, and as Jethro says, it went after Sky because she was the most scared out of all of us.
Yeah, she was
like
terrified.
It comes in like, I'm here to. I want to see what this fear thinks about. I want to make sure everybody's scared. We're gonna have a good time scaring the crap out of everybody. And that's what it was feeding off of. Like even like like even when it took over the doctor, like the first thing it is, I'm like, oh no, it's in the doctor now. He's copying me. We should kill him.
Yeah, we should kill him. That thing was okay. I keep trying to be optimistic and Star Trek-y, but this is Doctor Who.
I can see both interpretations, that, honestly, I can't, because at first we don't know. All we have is the circumstances around the entity's presence to set the tone for what that entity is. At first, all we have is knocking on the outside. I mean, if it's coming from a planet that's composed of diamonds, it's not going to be a soft, fuzzy creature. you know,
And
like
no
it's
air.
going to be pretty hard, and it's going to make a hard sound on that hull, which could then be interpreted as an attack sound, right? So it was really at that point, it was all about the perceptions of the people inside. And the doctor was saying to them, like, we don't have enough information. We don't have enough data right now to draw any conclusions. But they were already like, nope,
Yeah.
this is intimidating. It's scary. It's got to go. Whatever it is a threat, you know. And it reminded me of Riker on the bridge and Riker's reactions to everything. Like, nope, it's a threat. It's got to go.
Right.
You know?
That's what I thought, that they both kind of just went there. But then again, when the cabin, when the front part of the ship was gone, I said, well, yeah, you got a problem now.
Well, then, yeah, once that happened, then you're like, okay, something is not right here.
But I wanted to say, in both of these episodes, and they're about the same length of time, both writers create a world. Although in Darmok, it's mostly the thought of the world. You're not really seeing his world. But in Midnight, just the look and the thought of that world was so alien and incredible. I loved it. The diamonds and no oxygen. It was just the light. What kind of light? It was extonic.
Yeah,
light.
Extonic.
I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it was great world building.
All right. Well, go on.
No, I just was laughing because one other thing I read is that the person that played Professor Hobbs is actually the son of the original Doctor Who, or Doctor Who #2. So that man that cussed out Dee, his father was a Doctor Who. I thought that was really kind of cool that he was in his father's show. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that is a Troughton. But I will say again to all the Whovians out there, for all the Whovians out there, it's the Doctor, never Doctor Who. They get really finicky about that.
Thank you. Okay, just the Doctor.
That's his name. He's
the Doctor, right?
Yeah. Like eventually, you just got to learn to accept it. But on
the Doctor.
Yeah.
You know what else I loved about this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, and variations thereupon.
I actually made a comment on Twitter about how I love how older shows address the concept of there not being a binary, because there is another moment in Deep Space Nine where Odo says something to the same effect when he's like breaking up some things at Quarks, and it's all like, yeah, I just love like the language they use and like the era it's coming from.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I mean, that one, I had to write that down, and I was like, I have to remember to use this all the time. This is my new thing. Thank you, Doctor Who. Episode Midnight.
Yeah. I will say, for a final question, I mean, we've compared the two episodes. We got two different takes on communicating with an outside species. So which path do you think is more likely? The optimistic take of Star Trek, where we're going to work it out, we're going to find a way, or the realistic method of Doctor Who, where it's all like, I'm going to kill it and I never want to hear it again?
Well, we know how you feel about it. Because that was completely unbiased.
Yeah, to answer that loaded question.
Honestly, I think that because I've seen it, even though it was pretty outsized reactions, I think that the Whovian path is more realistic. But not all the time. I mean, Star Trek path is more hopeful, and I've seen human beings live up to and through that hope and promise and be our better selves together. We get examples of that all the time. But I think that if we are slaves to news television, we don't see it a lot. We have to go to other sources to see human beings being human beings, toward like good human beings towards one another. But for real, if I was stuck on a craft and there was something trying to get in, I would expect a lot more of the Lord of the Flies behavior that we got from the Doctor Who episode than, Peaceful Trek.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it kind of depends on your alien there, So,
And it really
there are good
does.
aliens on both sides. There are good aliens on both sides. So you got a really nasty. That was a really nasty piece of work there that they would. But you had the Doctor being Star Trekky and wanting more information and trying to wait until we wait. Keep your powder dry. Wait till you see the whites of their eyes before you shoot. And there's other people not. So there's always one in the crowd that can maybe try to talk them down. But once the threat was there was really nothing you can do. And you know what happens. The sister saves the world. I mean, the sister saved everybody.
Again.
Yes. And I will say, despite being slandered so viciously, I actually obviously, I fully expect most people to go the path of Doctor Who in this situation. But me personally, like I said, I'm someone who has studied multiple languages. I've studied French, Russian, Italian, and Spanish. So I do, when it comes to meeting other people and, outside things, yeah, I'm going to go the Dathon route. I can't say the Picard route because that man didn't make an effort at all. But the Dathon route where it's all like, I don't care, we're going to work something out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the one that was the Whovian is going Darmok and the Trekkies are going Whovian. What the heck is going on here? We've been cross-pollinated.
I know, right? Which is a beautiful thing.
It is. This is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to expand our world views, and now we are with the Doctor. I understand about the sonic screwdriver, and I got some other references. I feel like I can go out into the Whovian world and watch some more.
And now,
just
do you
wait
understand?
till you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, just wait till you see the TARDIS.
I've seen the TARDIS. Okay, I'll try it again.
Now you understand why I kept calling, we're totally crossing streams, the gift that we got in Picard towards the end of the new Picard. Star Trek finally has its own sonic screwdriver.
Yes.
I was like, they couldn't wait to get their own sonic screwdriver. Seriously, guys, you couldn't come up with something a little bit more unique. You had to bite off the Doctor. I knew that they were biting off the Doctor. I hate to admit it.
Well,
I digress.
Okay. Nope. That was right on time. You did. They did that. All right. Well, I think we've really given this a good look at what's going on here and brought out some things that hopefully our listeners had not thought about before. So, Tamia, do you want to sign us off from another episode of the SyFy Sisters?
Sure. Thanks. It's been fun. It's been fun hanging out with you gals. I can't wait to do it again. No, it really has. I've loved this discussion, and thanks, JD, for introducing me to something new and wonderful. And if you guys want to join in on our conversations, what we're doing here, and have any comments for us, we would really love to hear from you at SyFysistas.com or SyFy Sistas on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and that's SyFysistas. And really, I have to put out a shout out to the amazing, the wonderful, the man, the myth, the legend, Dos the Anonymous, the most fabulous sound engineer and producer in the world. He's responsible for all the music that you will hear ever on our show, and he is responsible for keeping us sounding good to your ears. Thank you, Dos. He can be reached at DOSTHEANONYMOUS, the number 1 gmail.com.
Yay. And with that, everyone, we'd like to say peace, love, and hair grease.
Peace,
Good
love, and
night.
hair grease.